In the increasingly saturated world of content, not only do you have to create content that stands out, but you also have to create content that can be found. That's where having a multi-pronged content strategy can come in handy. And that's what you're going to learn today with my human counterpart, the real Dr. Jill Schiefelbein. When you leverage AI and communication channels like me, a custom avatar, you can give your content new possibilities and opportunities for visibility. I'll turn it over to the real Jill to tell you more.
Well, hi, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in live today, and happy almost end of the year and holiday season, no matter what you celebrate. So excited to have some people on live, and I know a lot of people, especially at this time of year, are going to be catching the recording later. So to everyone watching the recording, thank you so much for tuning in. My goal today is to keep this short and sweet and powerful and give you all a handful of ideas for repurposing your existing content and leveraging AI in a very short period of time. And I see we have some of our users on the line. Hi, Kevin, Reiner, Raquel. Thank you guys so much for being here today live. I see some other people coming in too. What I'm going to do in this segment is really give you guys 4 different kind of content area strategies and talk about some AI tools beyond custom avatars, although of course custom avatars are a part of it, that you can just kind of think leading into the end of the year. And for me, these are all some projects that you can give to members of your team. And for those of you on the line watching who help someone and assist someone and strategize with someone who has a custom avatar, you can start to think of what are some of kind of the low-hanging fruit that we can do. Because I don't know about all of you, but I like going into not only the holiday season and the new year with some things I can do that aren't like incredibly taxing on my mind, because I want to relax and enjoy the season, but I still want to be productive and be having momentum forward. So this webinar is designed to do just that for all of you. So please feel free to use the chat throughout our presentation today. For those of you watching the recording, feel free to comment, ask questions, reach me via email. I'm happy to answer those. And without further ado, let's just dive right in and get to it. So one of the things I say in almost every presentation about anything related to AI that I do, and it's just so important, is that our AI outputs are only as good as human inputs. For example, ChatGPT, just a little over a year old now, right? Like, I mean, it's not even walking yet in some cases, right? Maybe barely stumbling a little bit. And the uses of ChatGPT are only as good and only as productive as the prompts that a human provides. The same thing goes for any type of AI that you're going to be using to leverage your content, to leverage your likeness, to leverage your social presence. It's only as good and can only be as created as well as the inputs that go into it. So sometimes, for example, with vocal training, when you're trying to train vocal AIs, sometimes there wasn't a very wide range of variety in the audio recording. So we need to add more human input, more recording samples in to make it a little more variable and make it a little more live and have a little bit more range. So again, AI outputs are only going to be as good as your human inputs. And when it comes to repurposing, obviously we have a lot of human input that we can start thinking about. The other thing that I always like to remind everyone of and really push forward from a science standpoint is that research studies in so many different places come up with these 3 key characteristics that you see on your screen right now: the personalization, the customization, and choice. Meaning when we can personalize experiences, communication, messaging to our customers, we're going to see better results. In the same vein, if we can't personalize to each and every individual, if we customize maybe to groups or subgroups, we're going to see, again, better, more improved results. And then the one highlighted today, choice, is one of the things that repurposing can allow you to do, and leveraging AI tools really can be a massive part of that, which is giving consumers and your audience members and those you train and talk to and engage with choice in how they consume your content. And what I mean by choice in this context today is choice in the channels that you're using to communicate. If you were sending something via text before, how can you maybe send it with text and audio, or text and audio and video? If people go to your website and want to consume content, do they have to read a blog, or can they also listen to the blog? And depending on what they're doing at the time, one of those options may be better. So when you add any of these 3 elements into your communication strategy, you're going to see better results. And science shows us over hundreds and hundreds of studies in multiple fields. Anyone ever want to dive down that nerd rabbit hole with me? That's what I'm here for. So when we talk about content strategy and especially positioning it for this webinar in particular, what's yours? You don't need to answer that for me right now, but I want you kind of thinking that in your mind. Most of us have some type of a strategy or are using the year end or will use the first quarter to really revise and revamp that strategy. And content can be for marketing, it can be for sales, it can be for internal practices, it can be for profit, it can be for training purposes, whatever it may be. We all have a content strategy of some sort. And what's interesting now is there are more channels, and I would argue even more ways to fill those channels than ever before. What's also really important to note, and I will call it out a couple of times on this call, and I think most of us are at least subconsciously aware of it, but I really want to hit it home today, is that search engines are continually indexing more and more and more media types as technologies continue to develop. So a question that I want to kind of overarch this with is, how are you leveraging that? Knowing that multimedia, video files, photo files, meta tags, photo captions, text, PDF, PowerPoints, these files are being indexed. How are we leveraging that from a content perspective to get you more visibility and especially to get you more search engine optimization, SEO traffic on your sites as well? So it's not just internal communication or product-based communication, but really also communication that you can leverage to help yourself be found more in a space without doing a whole lot of additional work. And that's what I'm here for, is let's repurpose things, not reinvent the wheel, and get more leverage and benefit. So the first of 4 strategies that I want to cover with you guys today is really thinking about maybe existing blogs and articles that you have. We'll talk about books a little bit later, but this is more of the short form content. So I'm guessing that many of you listening right now have, at least a handful, if not dozens, if not hundreds of blogs and articles. And this is kind of, to me, the single most low-hanging fruit that you could leverage right now, because it takes you no change to your existing site infrastructure, assuming you have this content on your website already in some way, shape, or form. So let me walk you through the how-to, and then I'll talk about the why and the benefits. So step-by-step how-to. Simply to execute on something like this, you just gather an existing blog post or article. Not rocket science, you already have it. You probably even have it in a URL. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste that URL or the text from that blog or article into GPT, whatever iteration you're using. Some people have the paid version of ChatGPT, some the unpaid, some are using, Just Do or Write Me or like any of these other hundreds and hundreds of text-based GPT iterations that are out there right now. And then, of course, what you're going to do is you're going to use those summaries, prompt it, get summaries, and then create video content from that. And that's, of course, where you can definitely leverage your custom avatar, your hyper-realistic avatar, your digital likeness if you have it. And even if you don't yet, you are able to produce AI videos very, very quickly with lots of different tools that are out there to be able to do this. Here's just how it looks in practice in our application using our AI Sidekick, which is a built-in ChatGPT iteration that if you are a custom avatar holder, you have access to. So let me show this video and kind of annotate the process that I am going through right now. So when you go into the application, create a new video, I'm just going to do a sample here of an article repurpose, as I call it. You'll click the video, you'll click your avatar, you'll select your audio. I'm doing this really fast. And to our users, very exciting. In Q1, we have an amazing new update that's coming to the application. I can't spoil it quite yet, but we're getting very, very close. You'll see here, I go to the AI Sidekick and just ask it very quickly, summarize this article in 75 words. It's that simple. If you want to, you could say for an audience of kindergarten students, or give it more parameters in an informational tone or persuasive tone. But then all you do is copy it in here. If it looks good, great. If you want to edit it, great. You can do any of those things. You click on generate audio. Once the audio is there and it's ready to go, then you go in here, you click a background. You see I have some custom ones that I already have ready to use. And then bam, I just click submit. And minutes later, you have a summary video. Now, let me take a breath and walk you back through some of the whys of this strategy. And again, it's really easy to give this to someone on your team to implement, which is you can go in and have a host of different articles that you already have on your website. Most likely you have an image attached. Hopefully you have a caption on the image that is relevant with your keywords because again, Google does index that. You probably have this image and you probably have a blog post or an article, but my guess is most of you don't have a video already. Well, this is a great way to add your social presence, your digital likeness in a video summarizing this content using your custom avatar. And you can see that whole process from copying and pasting and going there took basically about, I don't know, what was it, 60 seconds, 90 seconds? I'd have to look at the exact video timeline here. It was incredibly quick. And maybe add a minute if you want to play with your audio settings a little bit, but really in under a few minutes, you're going to be able to get this video. And then of course, while it's generating, you can go rinse and repeat and do this process. I have my team doing this and they were able to create about 5 videos per hour very, very easily in terms of getting them submitted. And they played a lot with the audio. If you didn't play with the audio at all, you could do probably double that within an hour to get them up and to get them running. And what they do after that, of course, once it's video delivered in the dashboard, they are able to download it and they put it up, of course, on YouTube or whatever channel you're using to drive traffic, and boom, it's in your site. Or if you want to, when you go to your video page in your Render Me application, there's also embed codes that you can use if you don't even want to bother with uploading it to your site. So just another way we can shortcut things there for you. So for anyone looking for what I feel is probably the most low-hanging fruit application you can use with an avatar, it's taking your existing content, getting GPT to generate summaries, putting it with your avatar, having a background. You may not be able to see it right now, but over here I have that this is a digital likeness of, so it's very clear. You don't have to do that. I like to do it. I design it into the background. I also strategically have a QR code here that I use for all of our render videos that goes to our studio tour site with learning events and more information. To me, this is a great template for a standard background that I create for a lot of my rendered videos. And so maybe you'll want to think about doing something like that for your brand too. So no matter where your videos pop up, there's always a QR code there that can lead people back to your site. So that is one of 4 strategies to kind of kick us off here in terms of what you can do to leverage the digital likeness and AI tools. And quite frankly, again, I think this is probably the best low-hanging fruit that you could either kind of do, half-heartedly while you were watching TV or something over the holidays. I mean, go Hallmark Channel if that's your thing, sipping some hot chocolate, or if you want to offshoot this to a member of your team, it's something that can be executed very, very easily, adding them, of course, as an authorized user. So the other thing to think about here is for those of you who work with international audiences, what's also great about this is we are supporting 28 languages and growing. So you could take that generated script, click translation to one of 28 different languages, and then also have the video generated there. So let's say you are primarily English speaking company, but you're trying to get more business in Spanish speaking countries. Maybe you're in Panama, for example, and you want to kind of attract that audience and maybe do some work there. You could also get your content translated very easily to Spanish with just a couple of clicks, and then have separate pages for your site in that area. For some places in emerging markets, from a search engine strategy perspective, having those native language videos is also an incredibly strategic move. So just some food for thought as you're thinking about leveraging and repurposing articles and blogs that you already have. Let's go to maybe next thing here. Let's go to some multimedia that you might have for strategy 2. And Andrew, I see you on the line. I threw out Panama just for you. Glad you're here. I want to talk about now how we can repurpose and leverage existing podcasts or video content. And I'm going to kind of treat these one and the same just for the sake of the example. So when I say podcast in your mind, also just think of maybe you have a training that you've recorded, or you have a longer form video, or maybe you have a vlog or something like that. That's, slightly longer form, 10 minutes, 15 minutes plus video content, or videos that you've been on with panels, webinars, et cetera, et cetera. Most of us have tons of these types of recordings in our arsenal, and they're just sitting there, and maybe we've, shouted them out on social media, but maybe we could do more. So let's think about that a little more strategically. So first, we start here by gathering an existing podcast or video file, right? Same steps, get that data in order first. Once you do that, upload that file to, I use Cast Magic, or you can use a similar tool. Depending on what you have, there's tons of different AI out there that can help you do summaries and things of different types of media. Podcasts, if you do best AI tools to create content with podcasts, you're going to see a whole lot of them come up. Cast Magic is just my preferred. I get no commission or anything from them, but I'm going to show you a sample in a minute to show you some ways that I have used it. And then once you do that, you can also take the different things that you get generated from pieces of content. You get dozens of them right then. And then, of course, if you have an avatar too, you can pair it with that. So let me not ramble about it. Let me annotate it for you by showing you how I've used it personally with Cast Magic, and then you could extrapolate this for any tool that you may already have or one that you may find that you like better. So this is a sample of Cast Magic, and what I did is I actually uploaded a panel that I did. So I'm one of 3 speakers on this panel, and you can see those here. It was about 25 minutes. It gives you what's great. So this is great if you're on interviews, podcasts too. It tells you what lines that you were speaking. You can then exclude different points if you don't want it to be generated for AI summaries and content, or you can add it. I love that you see timestamps, because then if I want to pass it off to video editor, they can even just chop that stuff out. You don't even need your avatar for that, right? Which is really cool. Though you could use an avatar to kick off the intro of it. I love Cast Magic because it gives you 10 potential titles. It gives you these keywords, which are great food for thought, maybe to add to your strategy. I'm not a huge fan of the speaker bio, I'll be honest. It generates an intro for you. So maybe if you wanted to introduce a piece, you could use that script and modify it for your avatar. You get the timestamped overview, which is actually useful to put in your descriptions when you post videos. I love the discussion questions that it generates for many, many different reasons. And of course, key topics and bullets are nice, but I actually use the discussion questions more because I can generate more content that way. This clip finder to me is magic. It's nice because I can extract those, put quotes on screen, etc., which is really nice. It gives you a real script if you wanted to make short form content for Instagram stories, TikToks, YouTube shorts, which are huge right now and in their infancy. It also gives you these things for LinkedIn posts. It gives you marks for newsletters. And this is all really within one tool. And if you wanted to do a Twitter thread, or I'm sorry, an X thread, as we call it now, or do it on any of the other applications that are doing it, Instagram, for example, as it shows here, it's all in this one app. And you just have to upload that recording and use it there. So I am a big fan of this application. Again, not getting credit or anything for it. I'm just a huge supporter because I enjoy it and I find it very useful. But what's really great about that is you could probably see, you could take any of those things, copy and paste, pair them with your avatar and go to town. For those of you who do this with podcasts, you could even have that audio directly paired with your avatar. Or what I like to do for a lot of these things is get my avatar, and I use the intro part that was there in Cast Magic. I like to modify that just a little bit because I find it typically talks about the big episode and I'm just posting a smaller piece of content. I narrow it down a little bit, spend maybe 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes tops editing that down into the script that I then pair with my avatar. So now when I am sharing a podcast, I'm also getting my brand, my digital likeness, my QR code, all of that stuff on there, and I'm repurposing that content. So that is semi low hanging fruit, not as low hanging to me as the articles or blog strategy that I shared in strategy 1. You'll see they get a little more laborious as we go on here, but definitely not insurmountable at all. And if you have a great team in place, this is something that you could absolutely hand off to them and let them go crazy generating that content there. And you have a lot of different options that you can use to be able to share that content out in myriad ways across multiple channels. This I find is also really good for anyone trying to invest in maybe an online learning library or an access library that people pay a subscription to. What I really like about this is I can set up any of these podcasts. Now I have these summaries for short form content. And I can use my avatar as kind of like a digital guide throughout each of the categories of content. Or when I post a new piece of content, I don't want to get on video and tell, all my members and subscribers about that. Instead, I just plug 30 seconds into my avatar, get that video, put a new notification out about the new content that's been uploaded in the membership library, and bam, you have a 30-second video, again, reinforcing your social presence that alerts people to that content. So again, ways to repurpose here with some things that you already have. Let's go into this third strategy, existing books. Not everybody listening will have a book, so I'm going to minimize this pretty effectively and efficiently. But if you want to dive into this strategy more, and especially if you are one of our Render customers, by all means, book a one-on-one strategy with me. Let's play, because we can leverage the heck out of this together. But here's something just simple and some rudimentary math to have you starting to think about repurposing books that you have. And again, this is something that if your book is already public, you could use ChatGPT for, of course, it chronologues what you're searching. If you have a private trained GPT, that's different. You can use that. But if you're doing this, of course, it adds to the questions in the database that help train the model. So if you're trying to profit rapidly off your book and retain all that confidentiality, then obviously you don't want to do that. Or if you have a contract with a publisher, you may have in there that you can't upload different things to GPT. But there are ways around it, and you can do things like Cast Magic, for example, with written content as well. There's similar tools like that. So that being said, let's say you have a book, and let's say we want to just divide it by chapters or key subjects. Again, use GPT to generate, and then you have these summary chapters, and you can add pages to your site and social content, right? It's like rinse and repeat. You've seen these three things in similar instances before, but let me give you a slightly different way to conceptualize this. If you take an existing book that you have, let's say you have a book with 10 chapters. Again, for ease of math, we're just going to do it. And you have 3 segments per chapter, right? So now we have like 30 different areas for content. If you are trying to sell books actively, think of those 30 areas of content as 30 different micro web pages that you could have that are promoting your book and promoting bigger pieces of content in terms of book sales. Then let's say we really want to focus on leveraging AI for customization. This is one of the huge strengths of AI in many capacities, is because, as we know, personalization, customization, and choice being important, customizing it based on different areas of your business, especially if you're someone that has different landing pages that lead to different things with different target audiences. You have good segmentation in your marketing or in your client portfolio. You can do audiences based on your target audience, existing clients, and emerging audiences that you may want to reach, but you're not targeting yet, but you're just trying to get maybe a foothold in. So for example, maybe you work with business leaders, so starting to target content right now to college students in business programs, and maybe using different wording could be a good thing that they start to follow you now and maybe hold on for longer. You're going to use different languages, of course, in each of these target audience here based on customization. And of course, you can use AI Sidekick or ChatGPT or other tools to help you customize the exact same script and prompt it to reword it in different ways for your audience. And if you really know your audience well, you can even give it a personality that you want it to cater to. You could say to a 30-something mid-level manager at a hospitality industry company that focuses on XYZ. You can go really into detail. And depending on the tool you use, some tools like Jasper, for example, are set up a little better for this. Even though it's one of the older school tools, it's been around just a little over a year, you're able to leverage this customization more easily. But now if you think of this, you get 3 different varieties of script for 30 different pieces of content, and you have 90 pieces of content just from an existing book. And a lot of books have more chapters and more segments than that. So another easy way to start thinking of dividing up your content and putting it out there. So for those of you who know you need to get more content on a site and don't want to do actual blog writing or article writing, you want to repurpose what you have, and you have a book out, by all means, this is an amazing strategy to do it. And again, get the text, but then also pair it with your digital likeness so you have your social presence on the site, and you also have multimedia, which again is indexed in a different way by the search engines, giving you more opportunity to rank higher for different key terms and different searches, which is really, really strategic. And of course, doing it in extra languages, just a bonus if that is one of your targets. As we wrap up here today, again, I try to do these rapid fire webinars now in 30 minutes or less, just to give you some ideas rolling forward. The last one I want to talk about is strategy. For those of you that have existing social shorts, or maybe you've been gifted social shorts. For example, was on a recent podcast with Lou Diamond, one of our avatar customers. He has a custom avatar and he hosts a Thrive Loud podcast, and his team generates a lovely reel for every podcast episode. Normally, I just share this across my social channels, but now I have another strategy in place to leverage all of this content that I am gifted from podcast hosts or others, and adding my avatar to make an introduction over what this content is about. And I can play that out differently in different situations. Again, giving this content that I typically would have on social a way to land and live on a website. So again, it's permanent, it's more indexed, it's a real estate that I own as a business owner. And I can also, of course, track data and stuff more easily that comes in through that. So if you want to think about it that way, taking some of the social content you have, for those of you who have more robust social presence and profiles in Reels or YouTube Shorts, you can also leverage them by having them on your web page. And especially since YouTube Shorts and you can embed things like that, it gives you more visibility and potential views as you're driving more and more traffic to your site. So that is a rapid fire of 4 different strategies, starting to think of ways to leverage and repurpose content that you have. I'm going to leave this as I do a thank you and open it up in terms of the chat. If anyone has any questions that is here live. Something that's very exciting that you may or may not have heard about is we now have 7 different on-demand studio locations. So no longer is shooting an avatar a studio event. You can do it in 7 different on-demand locations around the United States right now, which makes it a lot easier if you want to add another likeness to your portfolio or to get your first one. And what I really want to encourage all of you to do, especially those of you on the line who have a custom avatar, I'm going to get this recording out to you within the next 24 hours. Obviously, it needs to render and get cleaned up a little bit before I can get it uploaded. But once I do, if you have members on your team that help you with this type of content or these ideas, share this with them just to give them some food for thought of maybe how they can have a project going into either the holiday, into the new year, first quarter, and beyond that really helps you help them leverage their skill set and leveraging different AI technologies that you can use. So my hope is to have provided you with 4 strategies. Some you may have thought of before, some maybe not, to give you food for thought. I want to let you know, coming up in the new year, besides the new release of the app, which is super exciting, we'll have webinars like this, 30 minutes, fast-paced every single month. The first one that we're going to do in January is kind of a content scaffold for the year. So giving you a time to really kind of think strategically about what you may or may want to do, leveraging custom likeness and seeing some examples of other users, which is always fun and exciting. In February, there's going to be a special focus on a webinar that's really geared toward team members. So not the person whose digital likeness is being used, but the team members that are supporting and using that. So be on the lookout for that. You'll get that email, and definitely invite all of your team members or potential team members, people that help you brainstorm, to be on that. And in March, our first webinar on what will be launched by then, open batch rendering processes with emerging technologies that we have set up in the application that's coming in Q1 will be shown to all of you. So some super exciting things coming up. So thank you all for sitting here on, a lovely Monday, for playing with me for half an hour. It's always a pleasure to spend time with all of you. And thank you for listening, for those of you who came in remotely. When you have any questions, you know how to reach me, Jill@rendermedia.ai, or anywhere on social @dynamicjill. And I'm more than happy to get some content strategy sessions set up with you. So thank you guys so much for being here today.